Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome to the Sisters of the Shire podcast. I'm Abby, and with me is my intrepid companion, Ashley.
Today, we embark on the final leg of our journey through the Silmarillion, delving into the captivating section titled Of the Rings of Power and the Third Age. If you're just joining us, or if the Silmarillion is new territory for you, we recommend starting with episode 1. This will not only introduce you to our storytelling style, which is pretty amazing if you ask us. Yes, thank you. But also, it will provide you with crucial background knowledge for navigating through this intricate narrative.
But fear not, for together we shall assist you in every step of the way, navigating you through the tapestry of names, places, and their significances in this epic tale. Whether you're a first-time traveler or a seasoned tongue twister, seasoned Silmarillion scholar, grab your map and let's set forth on this enthralling adventure. You set me up for failure.
Let's go!
Yeah! Happy spooky season.
So spooky.
It's spooky. You want to know the spookiest part that we've had recently? What? It's dropped like 30 degrees outside.
Seriously. So flippin' cold.
Yes, it got so cold so fast. And I'm so sad because I feel like, we're going to have to wear like jackets over our Halloween costumes if we're going to be outside. It's freezing.
I saw this video of before snowsuit. That's the BS size. Like, so you have like a bigger size.
I think I've mentioned this before. When we lived in Southern California, we lived in Orange County, so it's warmer down there. And it was like 100 degrees on Halloween one year. And I was like, I get the slutty Halloween costume thing. I'm like, I'm so hot. Because then like when I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, I had to have a jacket. My costume, I'm like, what can I be that's warm and waterproof if I want to go?
Right.
Like you couldn't wear face makeup. You couldn't wear something that was like covering your face that if you got rained on, you couldn't see. You couldn't wear anything that was just that thin, bought from the store Halloween costume. That's that thin fabric that's just one layer. Like you had to bundle it up. Yep. And so I'm really sad this year because I'm like, So I made all 3 of my kids' costumes, and Luna is going to be a cat. She wanted to be a black cat. And then my youngest is going to be a bat. So I made it all out of sweatshirts.
Cute.
So like they're going to be warm. Oh,
nice.
I have to text you this picture. Sorry this is not a visual medium for everyone else, but I have to text you, Ashley, this picture of Oakley's little bat costume.
I was waiting for you to finish it to text it to me.
So
that's why
I made them.
Cosplay hoodies are one of my favorite things ever.
I made my kids' costumes because, first of all, it's cheaper. Second of all,
you are creative and brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm like, I want to make it what I think is cute. So I found a little.
Oh my gosh!
A little black hoodie for my 2-year-old. And my husband works with a company here in Oregon that they're a leather company. Like they make leather for like motorcycle jackets and motorcycle stuff and bicycles. Anyways, but so he's friends with them and he gets like the scraps for his job. He makes some products of our job with leather. So he just takes scraps. And so I found some real black leather. So those wings are real leathery black bat wings. He loves it. He like flaps his little arms. I'm also making ears to go on the top of the hood.
Oh my gosh. Can't even.
And then my oldest is Marty McFly.
Fox. Oh, right. Yeah.
He's Marty McFly because he loves him.
Nice.
And he loves those.
Are you in cult dressing up?
I want to be a witch, but I might have to ditch wearing my pretty dress because it's going to be so cold and I can't wear a jacket over it. So I might just wear my really cool hat that lights up.
Oh, cool. So. Yeah. I was going to be handing out things at a Halloween event. And I'm like, I probably should dress up. And then I'm like, so this is what those onesie things are for. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm sorry,
Yeah.
no one is sleeping in those. They are way too freaking hot looking. I can't even.
Luna tries, and then by the morning, she doesn't have it on anymore.
Yeah, it, yeah. So I didn't buy
Yeah.
one, but I'm like, okay, I get it now. I get it.
Yeah. What's Lizzie gonna be? Let me guess.
she,
0.
oh, she was 0 last year.
And the year
She,
before?
the year before that was Jack. And this year she decided she is old enough to do Sally because she really wanted to do like the face makeup and everything.
Oh.
But I don't know who in their right mind made this costume like this. It's a full-on step-in one piece,
For her
socks
dress?
even, for the dress. So it's really cute because it's got like the leggings included that have like the stitches and stuff on them, and even has like the bottom for the toes. It's like these cute striped socks. But the zipper is in the back.
Like a bodysuit. It's like a...
Yeah, yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So I can't decide if I'm going to send her to school in it because how is she going to go to the bathroom? Because, you know, they're supposed to do it by themselves. So I found a piece of plastic ribbon and I like tied it so it's a bit longer. So then she just has this random ribbon sticking out. So
Maybe Sally has a random ribbon sticking out of her. I mean, she sews, so...
But it was my first time doing face makeup on her. I'd done just like a tiny little bit when she was a reindeer in Narnia, but this is my first time doing full on face. And then we were in like a big hurry. So I feel like I did a decent job.
Oh, she looks so cute. Good job. I approve.
Thanks.
If you guys are dressing up for Halloween, anything hobbity or fun stuff like that, please send us pictures and we'll put it on our Instagram stories.
Please. Yes, please.
If you guys celebrate the Halloween
or Samhain. And if anyone knows where to find cosplay hoodies that are Lord of the Rings-ish, that's like my dream. I love hoodies. I love zippies, but I love also to display my nerdiness.
Okay. So, speaking of,
so last week we learned more about Rivendell, Elrond's sanctuary in Middle-earth, where, you know, he invited all races to be there and they could just come together and share their knowledge and skills. It ended up being a kind of college, library, genealogy center, therapy office, providing a
It has
safe
all
space.
the signs. It has like,
yes,
Rivendell, and then it has like all the businesses below it.
Yeah. It was a safe space because they could learn and they could have some healing and, you know, just be enlightened by all the ideas happening there. But also there was
food. It probably had amazing studies and libraries to work in and the softest bed. Okay, question. I've always wondered, do they have beds? Do they sleep?
Do elves? I don't think they have to sleep. Maybe they sleep every 3 days kind of a thing.
Okay. Because then...
Maybe. Not 3 days specifically, but, you know, like they don't need to sleep every night like we humans do.
In Dungeons and Dragons lore, the elven race, they don't have to sleep. They just kind of put in a meditation time for like resting.
Oh, sure.
So
I could see that too. Who knows?
Yeah. But so I was going to say, they probably have the most cushy, feather down beds. But then I'm like, do they have beds? But then you see Frodo.
She has a chaise lounge.
Yeah. You see Frodo in a big feathery bed that looked so comfortable.
Yeah. But he served all kinds.
Oh. He's so thoughtful, Elrond. So thoughtful.
He has like a hobbit-themed room, and he has a dwarf-themed room, and a man-themed room.
Don't they say that in the Prancing Pony? Where he's like, got some nice hobbit-sized rooms for you.
Yeah. Then also, the heirs of Isildur were there, and we found out that they mainly were there when they were like really young and when they were really old. So it was the like daycare retirement center for the heirs of Isildur.
Do you think time moved differently for Elrond? So he's like, he sent them away when they were kids, and then he's like, wait, you're back again?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Has it been that long already?
How was life?
Yeah.
So then also remember that Elrond was cool with the heirs of Isildur and was happy to be the daycare center, retirement center, because in a way, in a really roundabout way, he was kind of like their uncle. So he was looking over the descendants of his brother. So that was kind of like the hidden
He's
meaning
the cool
there.
uncle.
He's the very cool uncle. And also, he knew that these descendants were just destined to have a big role in the future events of Middle Earth. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to keep an eye on these ones. I'm going to try and raise them right and, see what happens.
Yeah.
He
Then we talked about
also
the
guarded
in this house.
in this house. They also guarded the shards of Elendil's sword because the Dunedain were kind of just homeless and just wandering around at this time. So Elrond's like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this very important sword when that's in pieces here so we don't lose anything.
Mm-hmm. So he knew that it was going to be important later?
Yes.
Okay. Is there like a prophecy about this, or he just had a feeling?
Yeah, just a hunch. And we're going to go over that probably next week. They talk a bit more about it. But for now, he's just like, these heirs of Isildur. And I mean, it cut the ring from Sauron's hand, so it's got to be pretty important. If anything, cool artifact of Middle Earth. Because he's all about keeping those records. He's the only one that's keeping the history.
In the movies, we see Elrond notice that Isildur has the ring, right? We see that he notices that. In this part of the Silmarillion, so he knows that he has that ring.
Yeah, they still had the scene of Isildur, come with me and, cast it into the fire. Not exactly that scene, but he did say, hey, Isildur, you should probably throw that in the fire of Mount Doom while we're here. I mean, this could be a really long journey for someone to do one day, but while we're here, it'd be a lot easier. But different from the movie was that Círdan was there too, and he's like, yeah, I second what Elrond said, do it now. And Isildur's like,
Isildur said no to two dudes?
Yeah.
That's even worse.
I know. He's like, no, my dad and my brother died, and this is like the tradesies situation.
That's an equal share. Tradesies for my dad and brother dying. I get this shiny, pretty little piece of jewelry. I'm like, yay. So Elrond knew he had this powerful ring and just let him be. Just let him okay.
Yep.
Wow. There was a TikTok where it was like, if you are my friend and you know me throwing it into the fire will save the world, but I'm just being a little jerk. Just I want you to just kick me as hard as you can. I'm giving you
have my permission. Yeah.
To kick me into the fire. Okay, so maybe you'll explain a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't explain of why Elrond's like, all right, okay, it's cool. You can keep it for a little bit. Maybe he just didn't know the full power. Does he know the full power of the ring?
Well, I wonder. So, okay, while we're theorizing here, I wonder if he was wondering if it was powerless because it wasn't being used by Sauron. Like only Sauron can activate the power within it. You never know. Or maybe he's like, okay, I guess you can keep it for a little bit. It can go on like a little tour as a world tour artifact kind of thing, but then we're going to get rid of it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
Anyways, okay, so then we have the 4 major elf realms in Middle Earth. We have the Grey Havens, Rivendell, Lorien, and Greenwood the Great, which is later Mirkwood. And Rivendell and Lorien become by far the most beautiful, magical, and well-preserved. And this is because Elrond possesses one of the rings of power. He has the Ring of Sapphire, Vilya, and Galadriel holds the Ring of Adamant, or Nenya. And they use those rings of power to kind of keep their realms safe and preserved and protected.
Okay.
And even though they have these hidden realms of elves with their beautiful, it's literally like you step into this other world, for lack of a better word, there is still stuff going on in Middle Earth that is not so pretty. And there are still orcs running around. There's still dragons and other icky creatures. Because, and we find this out because Mirkwood, goblins, Mirkwood, once known as Greenwood the Great, undergoes a dark transformation as Sauron's influence grows in his tower in the south of Dol Guldur.
Guldur. I have a raspy throat. I'm almost done with soccer season, or as I like to call it, laryngitis season.
Yes.
From me yelling across soccer fields. for 8 weeks straight, 6 days a week.
Uh-huh.
So I can say
You're a
things
hero, Abby.
cool. I can say things cool and creepy, like
Okay.
Baradur,
There you go.
Baradur.
There you go. But the ultimate thing that I left you kind of on a cliffhanger is that we found out the Istari, or the wizards, arrive in Middle Earth, and they were messengers sent by the Lords of the West, or the Valar, to counter Sauron's power and inspire good deeds in elves, men, and other beings.
Oh man, now I want to name something Istari. I think that's such a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so are you ready to hear more about these Istari?
Did they fly in on a ship, or did they just
They
float down?
They came by ship. It doesn't say if it was floating. But remember, we had the whole
ships.
only Arendelle. Sorry,
That's more than zero.
Arendelle shit.
That's more than zero. And isn't
Well,
Valinor higher than everything now?
I was thinking about that too. I thought we made Valinor hidden, not able to find it, but somehow these boats that are leaving Middle Earth just can, I don't know.
They say they're leaving Middle Earth. Are they making it?
Yeah. Do we know that they made it?
Yeah.
Because the boats just come back empty. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. A mystery.
So them arriving by boat is pretty different from the Rings of Power show. I don't know why they decided to do it that way. It's an interesting idea. I should say that it doesn't say specifically if this boat, them arriving by boat, was their first appearance in Middle Earth.
Okay.
They're making it sound that way in this section, but...
Because they helped make Middle Earth.
Right, yeah.
Right?
But, yeah, in the very beginning, before it was populated, yeah, they were the helper gods. They are Maiar. But there are talks on the interwebs of them coming to Middle Earth throughout the ages, but just not as these official Istari wizard guys.
So Gandalf is mentioned specifically by name out of most of the Maiar. Like, he is a character that is known in the beginning. Does he stay in Middle Earth, or is he back on Valinor and he's one of the ones that comes back?
Valinor.
All right.
And we're going to talk about that just in a second.
Okay,
so
let's go.
These wizards, I'm going to just call them wizards from now on, just because Istari, wizard, Maiar is a bit confusing. So wizards, they've been sent by the Valar to help the elves and men. Again, the dwarves are always left out, just in case Sauron should rise up again. But the interesting thing about these wizards that I would have loved more detail on is that they are, in fact, like I was saying, Maiar. And if you don't remember what Maiars are, they are the kind of demigods, lesser gods. They help the main gods of the Valar. They're kind of the assistants.
We called them, I think somebody mentioned they were gods, and then those are angels that were helping.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are, just as Gandalf says in The Hobbit, 5 wizards. And I'm going to tell you all of their Maiar names. You ready for this? 5?
I feel like more would be better, but keep going.
You'd think so. Oh, actually, I do know why. We'll get to that later. So we have Alorin, Curumo, Curumo.
Surumo. Remember the C sometimes is like a
C.
S.
You're right. Surumo.
Surumo. You have to say with flair. And
no, it's a C because the root is similar to Curufin, and he is for sure Curufin. So
Curumo.
Okay, sorry.
You have to say with flair, and then it sounds more authentic.
Okay, so Alorin, Curumo, Iwendiel, Alatar, and Palando. Now, this is...
Sorry, that last one got me. What is it?
Oh, he has a funny story. Palando.
Amazing.
Yeah, he has a... Yeah. So, long story short, this is how this probably went down in Valinor. And this is kind of me just summarizing from what I found on the internet. Encyclopedia of Arda, as you know, is my jam. And so here's probably how it went. This is not in the Silmarillion at all. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about today actually isn't even in the section we're reading. it glosses over things and it has it all here and there. So I'm trying to create a
Hearsay and
organized,
hearsay.
yeah, an organized upfront story so you can understand these guys better, because I wanted to know them better. I mean, 5 wizards. I want to know who they are.
Amazing. Give
So
me
you
all
were
the
asking
wizards.
why 5. So as it became clear that a shadow is rising again in Middle Earth during the Third Age, the Valar decided to send emissaries to lead the peoples of the mortal lands against the rising darkness. 2 of the Maiar accepted the summons. They're like asking for volunteers, and 2 of them are like, we'll volunteer. And the first one to step forward was Kurumo, and the second one
Guru.
was Alatar. Now, Alatar, it doesn't really explain this, but he's like, and I'm also going to bring my friend. His name is Palando. Like, I don't know why. That's just funny to me. I know a guy.
If
Hold
I'm
on. He'll
going,
come too.
Polando's going.
Yes. Then Monway himself, he's like, you know what? Aloran, you know the Eldar and the elves very well. So why don't you go too? You have a good rapport with them. And then Aloran's like, fine. And then Yavanna was like, you know what? If Monway gets to pick someone, I get to pick someone, because she's a little enthusiastic, we'll call her. If you remember way back when she was talking about the Ents. I don't know. She's always got like crazy eyes to me in my brain. So she asks Kurumo, she's like, well, I have this Maiar. His name is Iwendil. He's a little shy. She doesn't say that, but in my head, this is how it goes. Can you just take him with you? You seem like a savvy guy. Can you just take him with you? I'm sure he'll be fine once he gets over there. And Kurumo's like, I don't
We
want
really
to.
want to get him out of the house.
Yes.
He needs to go.
Yes.
He needs some enrichment time away from
So Kuruma's like, I don't really want to. And then he sees Yavanna's crazy eyes and he's like, okay. So that
You
is how we
will
have.
take your little brother with you. I told you. You will not go anywhere without him.
So that is how we get the 5 wizards. And now they are in Middle Earth. As we know, they went across the boat. And so let's get to know them a little better, because
Get to know these wizards.
Well, the first one we're going to learn about is Aloran. And that name might sound familiar because we did talk about him way back when we were getting to first know all of the Valar and some of the main Maiar in the beginning of the Silmarillion. And this is what we said about him. Quote, wisest of the Maiar was Aloran. He dwelt in Lorien, the Valinor one, not the Middle-earth one. But his ways took him often to the house of Nienna, and of her he learned pity and patience, for though he loved the elves, he walked among them unseen, or in form as one of them, and they did not know whence came the fair visions or the promptings of wisdom that he put into their hearts. In later days, he was the friend of all the children of Iluvatar, and took pity on their sorrows, and those who listened to him awoke from despair and put away the imaginations of darkness.
Aw, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah, so that's the kind of guy he was on Valinor. He spent some time in case you don't remember, Lorien is similar to the Middle-earth one. It is the Garden of Lorien. And Lorien is the Valar who also was named Ermo. He was in charge of dreams. So it makes sense because Aloran is derived from the word Alori, meaning dreams.
That's a pretty
that guy
name
hangs
too.
out there. Yeah. That guy hangs out in Lorien pretty often. Let's just name him Dreams. Man who dreams, maybe. I don't know. But you might know him better by another name, because the men in Middle-earth would call him Gandalf. Now, have you ever wondered what Gandalf means?
Does it mean like gray man or something?
No, that's what his other name means. So it's actually kind of funny. Gandalf roughly translates to elf of the wand. So like apparently they thought he was an elf, and the wand, I'm assuming, was referring to like his staff. So not quite right, men. You're showing your intelligence.
It's like when It's like when people try to fake a name and they're like looking at things around them and they're like,
Yes.
my name is Jeffrey
Lamp.
Chair
Yeah.
Lamp. I come from a long line of chair lamps.
So then the dwarves would call him Tharkun, which means staff man. It's
Wow, guys.
closer, but
He's got other
like the
attributes.
I know. But like the men's name, it's also inaccurate because he's also not a man. The elves would call him Mithrandir, meaning gray wanderer, which I feel like is the perfect fit for what he is.
Yeah, that seems a little bit more on the nose than
They put
or
some thought into that
less on the
name.
nose than the other one.
Yeah. So as far as his characteristics goes, as we said, he spent a lot of time with Nienna, and that's where he said he learned pity and patience from her. Because remember, Nienna was the Valar who was the compassionate one. Her name literally means she who weeps, which adds up because it was her tears that first watered the two trees of Valinor. And if you try and remember way back when we were trying to remember all the Valar names, we described her as kind of the empath. She feels everything. She takes pity on the people of Middle Earth, and she just cannot handle any bad things happening. She just is a mess most of the time, I'm sure. But she does teach pity and endurance to the elves on Valinor. But she spends most of her time consoling those waiting in the halls of Mandos. So she found a job that works for her.
Yes. Wasn't she with Mandos or something, or no?
No, they're just brother and sister.
Oh, that's right.
Mandos is with the weaving lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Remember, no one wanted to marry Nienna because she was too sad.
Oh, yeah. Which I bet did not help.
Yeah. So I'm sure you might have noticed that all wizards tend to carry a staff with them. But they also have a distinctive color, of course, because Tolkien always has to tell his readers, and her signature color was. So
amazing.
So Gandalf's was gray, as we kind of know. At least in this book, it's going to be gray.
Yes.
So just to sum up, we have Aloran, Gandalf, Tharkun, Mithrandir. And just to avoid confusion from here on out, I'm going to only refer to him as Gandalf, even to the point of changing some of the quotes because they keep going back and forth on what they call him. And I'm just going to try and make it as easy as possible. So Gandalf. His Valar that he kind of worked with and kind of oversaw his upbringing, I guess, was Nienna and slightly Lorien. So kind of the empath and the dream one, which is kind of interesting to think about.
And he's what they considered the most important one, right? Was he the most important one?
Gandalf?
Yeah, you said that he was the most competent or something of all the...
he was the most wise.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll go with competent too. And his signature color was gray. Another of these wizards was named Kurumo, which means skillful one. And he was a Maya who served under Aule, the engineer craftsman Valar. The elves would call him Kurunir, meaning skilled one. But you probably know him better under the name the men called him, which was Saruman, meaning man of skill. Yeah. Man of skill. Like all his things, like skillful one, skilled one, man of skill. We get it. He has skills. Like, I'm sure he has. He gave himself all those nicknames.
Yeah. And poor Gandalf's like, I have a staff.
I have a staff. Yeah. So a quick side note here, spoiler, because I'm sure you know Sauron's going to turn to the dark side later, but just in case you didn't know, that's going to happen. The orcs give him a nickname too. And I don't know why it sounds so funny. His nickname is Sharky.
Sharky?
Yes.
What?
And it's derived from the orcish word sharku, which means old man. So it makes sense with the things, but to call him Sharky, it's funny. Huh. So like Gandalf, like with Gandalf, I'm just going to refer to him as Saruman strictly for the rest of the episode and probably for the rest of time because it's just so confusing to go back and forth on these names. And
I mean, it's cool if you want to learn them, everyone else out there.
For
just
sure.
to keep it a little simple on the podcast.
Yes.
No hate. Their names are pretty cool.
They are very cool. And the Valar who oversaw him was Aule, the engineer craftsman. and his signature color was white.
All right.
Then we have Iwendiel, which means friend of birds.
Okay.
And he was a Maya who served under Yavanna, the Valar known as the Queen of the Earth. And just a quick recap, remember, she was the one that created the Ents and pretty much all growing things in the world. So it makes a lot of sense for who this guy is because, yes, the men called him Radagast, which means tender of beasts.
Oh.
Yes.
I love that.
So it also might have something to do with his color, as it has root words from the English words for brown spirit, something or other like that. Ruddy, Rudu, brown, Radagast,
Ruddy.
something like that. Yeah. So something interesting of note here that isn't mentioned in the Silmarillion, but apparently in the Lord of the Rings, according to Gandalf, Radagast was a master of shapes and changes of hue. Like, that's literally quoted in the Lord of the Rings books. The meaning of this is, of course, up for grabs as far as what it means, but it seems to suggest that he could create apparitions, illusions, maybe disguise his appearance, which is weird because, firstly, who would have freaking known that Radagast had that power?
Yeah.
And secondly, wasn't that one of Sauron's main skills too? Like, kind of interesting that they each took a different path there.
Yeah.
What I think really happened. Yeah. But what I think really happened is that Radagast just got really good at camouflaging himself in the forest, like freaking PETA in the Hunger Games. And everyone just thought he was using magic, but he was just really good at camouflaging.
Or he's like in the movie where like he just does not change his clothes at all, and then he's just like starting to grow moss on himself, and
Yes.
he has bird poop all over him and stuff like that.
Yes. Okay, so summing up, we have Iwendiel. Radagast was overseen by the Valar Yavanna, and his color is brown. Next, we have Alatar, who we know almost nothing about. Anything I tell you about him, I'm literally gathering from the Encyclopedia of Arda or TolkienGateway.net. Just take it with a grain of salt. This is not canon. It is fan theories or just grabbing things from different things Tolkien has said over the years. So don't come at me. This is just to help with the story in your brain.
All right.
So Alatar's name could mean something along the lines of aftercomer, because he was like the second wizard to volunteer after Saruman. It also could derive from the word Alata, which means radiance, and Tar, meaning Lord. So like Lord of Radiance. Yeah. Sounds a bit cooler that way.
What a name to not be mentioned any other time.
Oh, I know. It's up for debate, but he might have also been given the way cooler name of Morinitar, meaning Darkness Slayer.
What?
I know.
What?
Yeah, it's that is very not canon. Like that whole, it's a whole thing online, but I just had to say it because what a cool name.
Amazing.
Now, apparently, in the Unfinished Tales, it says that the Valar Arome, the hunter one, that your man Arome, chose Alatar to send to Middle Earth. So Arome was the one who volunteered Alatar, or asked Alatar to come. And then Alatar is like, and I'm bringing my friend Palondo.
Okay, you know what it's giving me? I don't know if you get this reference, but have you ever seen the show Psych?
No.
Okay, so basically two guys who are best friends since they were kids. Sean is the main guy who gets into all the adventures, and he just pulls Gus with him. So it's very much like, and I'm bringing Gus. And he's coming with me. Gus is like, wait, what? Wait, I didn't sign up for this?
So Christopher Tolkien has speculated that their association with Arome could be because he was the Valar who had the greatest knowledge of the entirety of Middle Earth. You guys remember he used to ride his horse everywhere and blow his horn. And so being under him, they kind of learned maybe the landscape of Middle Earth. And so they journeyed to the east of Middle Earth because Arome apparently was the only one who knew that area.
Okay.
The term blue wizards apparently is only mentioned once in a random essay, and it's like only source where they're assigned a color, but he just is known as the blue wizards, basically. So we have Alatar, Morinatar, and I'm just going to call him one of the blue wizards.
Because you don't know his name?
Well, you know his
Oh,
name,
that's
but
his name?
one of the blue wizards is what I'm calling him.
Okay.
Because he
Like he doesn't
literally
get a
does
new
not come
name.
up.
He doesn't get a new
No.
name like Gandalf and stuff.
No, because we know nothing about him, basically. He's not really in the book. Yeah.
I'm not in the book,
So,
you know.
Yeah.
Okay, do you get
So if
that
I mention
reference
him at
whenever I
all, it's just
say
going to
it?
be. You said it, and I don't remember what it's actually from.
It's from Winnie the Pooh, where
Winnie the
the little
Pooh, yes.
gopher guy comes up and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. I'm not in the book, you know."
Yeah. So these guys are literally mentioned so little that kind of like Gandalf does in the movie, like, oh, and then the blue wizards. You know, I've quite forgotten their names. Like, no one talks about them other than just the blue wizards.
Sad.
Yeah.
They have names. They have lives. No one
Well,
remembers.
not that Tolkien officially wrote down is the problem. He had lots of ideas, lots of strings here and there, but nothing official. So one of the blue wizards is what I'm just going to call them. They were overseen by Arome, and his signature color obviously is blue. Lastly, we have Palando. Like I said, with Alatar, nothing is known for certain about these two. The meaning of Palando is kind of tricky, but if we assume that Palan is kind of like the root of Palan, like in Palantir, so that would mean like far or distant. So like maybe like far traveling one, he who comes from afar or something like that.
Wow.
If Alatar's other cool name is actually true, then Palando's other name was Rome Stamo, meaning East Helper, which is actually kind of cool because he ends up helping in the East. So, but like I said, we're just going to name him the other blue wizard or one of the blue wizards. And again, overseen by Rome, signature color is blue.
We
These
talking
blue wizards.
cerulean, robin egg,
It doesn't
minty,
specify.
navy.
In my head, it's a cerulean.
Oh. Maybe one of them's like a powder blue and then one of them's like a midnight, like dark.
Yes, I like that. So these blue wizards are pretty much a mystery that Tolkien left us only to speculate on. He did say this about the blue wizards in a book that I have admittedly not read called The Peoples of Middle-earth. It basically just contains the 3 manuscripts from the last years of Tolkien's life. So this is what he said, quote, "Their task was to circumvent Sauron, to bring help to the few tribes of men that had rebelled from Melkor worship, to stir up rebellion, and after Sauron's, first fall, to search out his hiding, in which they failed, and to cause dissension and disarray among the Dark East. They must have had very great influence on the history of the Second Age and Third Age in weakening and disarraying the forces of East, who would both in the Second and Third Age otherwise have outnumbered the West." In other words, they were sent over to the far east, not Gondor east, like far over the mountains east, where Sauron and Melkor had kind of stirred up trouble with the menfolk. So their job was to try and bring those guys back to the side of good and to stir up any rebellion with the people who were already worshiping Melkor. Like, hey, this guy's actually awful. How about you join our side? Rebel against Melkor, down with Sauron, you know. And then after Sauron was killed, quote unquote, they were supposed to try and find where his spirit ended up, but they couldn't find him. But Tolkien is like, well, I think they must have done a pretty good job because if it weren't for them, their forces could have been really big in the East and would have crushed the men of the West, Gondor, Rohan, of everything in the Second and Third Age. So, yeah. The debate is, because their fate is never actually told, whether or not, like Saruman, did they go to the dark side?
The other wizards. The blue wizards.
Yeah. In other various writings, Tolkien does hint that they were responsible for the founding of strange cults in distant lands.
Amazing.
But whether or not these are like Melkor Sauron based cults, or maybe they were cults that at least took away like the Melkor Sauron followers, like it's hard to say. Like, you know what? We should do our own cult.
Yeah. Everybody has to wear blue.
The ultimate question, though, is did they help defeat Sauron in the end? Maybe. We'll never know. But
They're so far away from the action. They're like, was there something we were supposed to do? I
yes.
cannot remember.
Yes.
Oh, well. You want for lunch? Let's go.
So sorry for that detour. None of that information is actually written in this section that we're covering, but I thought it would help establish who these guys were, what their influences were based on what Valar they helped. And plus, I just found it really interesting. Now, back to the Silmarillion. You might be wondering, as I did, what these guys looked like. Because, if they're Maiar, like Sauron was, Sauron got to choose his appearance. What did these guys choose? Quote, in the likeness of men they appeared, old but vigorous, and they changed little with the years, and aged but slowly, though great cares lay on them. Great wisdom they had, and many powers of mind and hand.
So none of them chose to be like pretty looking, except for these ones.
Right. So I was thinking about that. Like maybe the Valar actually didn't allow that anymore. Like, no, we've seen what happens when that happens. They'll just follow you into anything. You gotta dress them. You gotta choose something else.
More homeless looking, the better.
Yeah. So I've heard it theorized that Gandalf chose to appear as an old man simply out of humility. He dresses in clothes that aren't fancy or colorful. They're more functional and plain because I don't think he wanted to draw attention to himself. He simply wanted to be an observer and just help people.
And also, in every instance where he's coming up against like authority, like kings or like leaders of an army or whatever, they're like, get the old man out of here. Like they're very like, dismissive of him.
Right.
And like, I feel like he likes to be like that so that they're like, oh, wait, what? When like things actually happen, he can kind of like sneak in and do stuff without them really being the wiser of that, I guess.
Yeah. He's a secret weapon. He gets
Trixie.
Underestimated. Trixie. But what's interesting is why Saruman would choose to appear old. But he does it in a different way. Like he wears this really pristine white robes. He's very noble looking. The only thing I can think of is that he would want the respect and recognition maybe that an older man would get. Like, oh, you are old and wise and oh, you must have all the authority.
You've been here a long time.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can guess. I have no idea about the Blue Wizards, and I think Radagast just honestly went along with what everyone else was doing because Radagast is Radagast. Speaking of the best, quote, Radagast was the friend of all beasts and birds, but Saruman went among men, and he was subtle in speech and skilled in all the devices of smithcraft. Gandalf was closest in council with Elrond and the elves. He wandered far in the north and west and made never in any land any lasting abode. But Saruman journeyed into the east, and when he returned, he dwelt at Orthanc in the Ring of Isengard, which the Númenóreans made in the days of their power. So Radagast is settling in the forest. He's going to ultimately be in Mirkwood. He's a little hermit. He likes the birds and the animals more than people, which I get. Saruman is closer with men, makes a home in Isengard in the possibly meteorite tower of Orthanc. And Gandalf is closer with elves, especially Elrond, and wanders in the north and west of Middle-earth.
The Blue Wizards got shipped off somewhere and forgotten about.
Pretty much. Now, even with all of Gandalf's wanderings, because remember, not all who wander are lost, he was by far the most vigilant. He was the one who kept the mission of, you know what, we're here to look out for the comeback of Sauron. We are here to be the Middle-earth's cheerleader. That's a top priority. No matter how much it shows him blowing up fireworks and smoking in the Shire, that was his main priority. He never forgot that. By the way, I have this theory that he knew that Bilbo had a ring, but he didn't know it was. So he was just trying to get Bilbo's guard down so that he could talk to him about it. That's my theory. And the fireworks were his experiments of trying to be distractions, further distractions. Yeah. Quote, he it was that most doubted the darkness in Mirkwood, for though many deemed that it was wrought by the ring-wraiths, he feared that it was indeed the first shadow of Sauron returning. So we're going to bring up the Hobbit movies a lot. Hobbit movies a lot today, because that's kind of where we're getting into a little bit here, because I feel like it was really illustrated by Radagast in the Hobbit movies pretty well. It might very well have been in a way that happened similar to what happened in the movies. You know, Radagast noticing the birds and animals in the forest becoming sick, and you know, who's he going to tell? He doesn't get along with many people. I'm sure he's scared of Saruman. Like he just yelled at me, and I don't know. And Gandalf, will you help me? Because Gandalf was probably the only one who was nice to him, you know. But also, like in the movie, I don't think Radagast would have done what Gandalf did next. Quote, and Gandalf went to Dol Guldur, and the sorcerer fled from him. And there was a watchful peace for a long while.
The sorcerer what from him?
Fled. So different from the movie. And so he's actually going to go to Dol Guldur multiple times, but this is the first time that he goes, and the sorcerer, quote unquote, flees. And they're like, okay, you got that banished. We're good. We're good. Okay. We're just going to keep an eye on things for a while.
You get on out of here. You get.
But it's funny that they still refer to it as the sorcerer. Like, Gandalf's not quite sure. He doesn't have enough evidence. Maybe I wish they went into more detail on what this confrontation looked like, but that's all we get.
Okay.
Quote, that at length the shadow returned, and its power increased, and in that time was first made the Council of the Wise, that is called the White Council. And therein were Elrond and Galadriel and Círdan, and other lords of the Eldar, and with them were Gandalf and Saruman.
So in the Hobbit movie, we see the White Council work together.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
it's a little bit bigger than what it shows.
Maybe
those are the only ones who showed up.
Troop.
Yeah. You know, they still don't know who this sorcerer guy was, but Gandalf, you know, his spidey senses are tingling. He's vigilant and perhaps suspicious enough that they have formed, I'm not going to call it the White Council, because I think Middle-earth Dream Team is more appropriate.
It's the Dream Team. Pew, pew, pew. Wait, in The Hobbit, Elrond was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says Elrond. Council.
Oh. I only heard Círdan.
Elrond, Galadriel, and Círdan.
That's right.
But what's funny is that it says there were other lords of the Eldar. Like, how come they don't get to be named? Who are those guys? What makes them special enough to be in the Dream Team?
Members. They're like the secretary of the group and the treasurer and like all that stuff. So they don't get their names up there.
Quote, Saruman the White was chosen to be their chief, for he had most studied the devices of Sauron of old. So this makes sense because both Saruman and Sauron were Maiars of Ale. So they both kind of were craftsmen of Ale, and maybe he studied under him or something. Who knows? Saruman could have worked with Sauron.
He gave them those names because I feel like he's like, you will be called Sauron. And then all this stuff happened. And then he's like, and you will be, all the bad stuff happened. And people are like, oh no, Morgoth and Sauron are evil. And then he's like, I have this other guy and his name is Saruman. Oh, it's a new guy. He's like, oh, okay, okay. Well, like, we're cool with this guy. He's no way related to the other guys.
Well, there's also this ongoing thing like, Ale, what's going on in your workshop over there? How come all your Maiar are turning out evil? What the heck, man?
Yeah. What is going on in that workshop? He doesn't let them have snacks. The break room's pretty bad. They don't get long enough breaks, you know?
And you know what? Melkor does. He has a vending machine that only takes, pennies.
He lets them play the music, different playlists of their own liking. It's not just the boss's game room. Favorite music.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm going to work for that.
They can ride their scooters and longboards like in Pixar.
Yes. Okay, so Saruman is in charge of the White Council, but, quote, Galadriel indeed had wished that Gandalf should be the head of the council, and Saruman begrudged them that, for his pride and desire of mastery was grown great. But Gandalf refused the office, since he would have no ties and no allegiance, save to those who sent him, and he would abide in no place, nor be subject to any summons.
Whoa.
So let's be honest. Yeah, Gandalf was probably way more laid back and fun to hang out with than this kind of uptight, nerdy sounding Saruman. Gandalf didn't want to be tied down. He didn't want to be in charge. And Saruman is definitely a type A personality. He likes order. He likes control. And Gandalf is like, I got my orders and I'm just going to do them how I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep an eye on things in the Shire. And, I'm going to get to know those people and, just really embrace the culture.
He has a Baja jacket.
Yes.
So
now that Saruman is in charge of the White Council, most likely not by popular vote, the first thing he decides to do is interesting. And it's definitely a nerdy move here. Quote, Saruman now began to study the lore of the Rings of Power, their making and their history. So he's not really a man of action. He's not like, okay, let's go take him down. Let's go, attack Dol Guldur. He's like, you know what? We're going to learn our enemy. We are going to learn about the things. He is definitely the guy who has to read the instructions before playing any board game, no matter how many times he's played it.
He's like, I have the weapons to defeat him. And then he just hands out books. It's like,
yes.
And here's one for you. Want you to read on this one.
So that's actually where we're going to leave you today.
Oh, so, okay. I'm glad we're getting to know more about the wizards because they're one of my favorite, entities of Middle-earth.
Oh,
If
yeah.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was more about them.
Yeah. I never knew that about Radagast. It makes total sense that his Valar that he served was Yavanna because, man, he loves those birds, loves those beasts, loves the earth.
Yeah, because he's a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. And doesn't it make so much more sense now that Yavanna asked Saruman to take Radagast? Like, will you just take him to Middle Earth? I don't think he can go by himself.
To get out of the house.
He needs to get. Like, did you even know that was Radagast when he said that? But it worked perfectly.
Mom, I don't want to take him. He stinks.
You will take
He's
your
so
younger
boring.
brother. It's his incessant consumption of mushrooms.
Yeah. I think there's a hedgehog living in his pocket. I don't think those are legal to have as pets around here.
You leave Sebastian alone.
Well, if I ever get a rabbit, I want to name him Radagast. I think that'd be a very cute name for a rabbit.
Yes.
A pet rabbit.
Do it.
I know. Well, thank you for teaching me today.
You are most welcome. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. Thank you for all of your comments and answering my random questions and thoughts. I like it. I posted a picture of Haleth, and it was like, I wonder if Haleth, because she was like the girl boss, warrior, queen lady.
Uh-huh.
I was like, do you think that she fought and made way for other female warriors like Éowyn? And someone posted, for sure, Haleth walked so Éowyn could run. It was just like,
yes.
Yeah, girl.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, like we said, if you're dressing up something cute, Tolkien-y for Halloween, please send it to us and we can put it on our stories, on our Instagram. I've seen so many cute little Hobbit babies out there.
Oh my gosh, send us all the Hobbit babies. Try and send us Hobbit girls because we have girls and I want to dress up Lizzie one day, but I don't know how. I want to see the Hobbit girl costume.
I saw the most amazing cosplay group of women and they looked so great. Their costumes are amazing, but they were dwarf wives and they had beards, but they were cool, more feminine.
That's amazing.
Oh, it was amazing.
Okay,
I'm not brave enough to wear facial hair like that, but it was so cool. I'll have to post it because it was
please post
very amazing.
Don't forget that you can become a patron and join our Patreon at patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire podcast. You can join our best friend, dwarf friend of the Shire, Dan, or our elf friends of the Shire, Kushane and Tom. And we just want to say thank you guys so much for your continued support. We really appreciate it. Every little bit helps. It does take money to do what we're doing, unfortunately, and we're happy to do it, but it does help if you contribute.
We love the help.
We love the help. And don't forget that we are getting very close. Like, I maybe could make the last episode next episode. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
So, and then after that, we're going to do the trivia game. So if you want to be in on the trivia, you got to be a Patreon. So our patron on our Patreon. Dang it.
You got this.
if you want in, thank you. If you want in, sign up. Please also rate us on whatever platform you listen to your podcast on.
Yes.
And as far as world news, we don't have any new countries, but Ireland, you let Slovenia take it back. I'm not sure. Slovenia, what's your hidden weapon? I don't know your country well enough to know what your... So if Ireland's got bagpipes, what do you guys got? I'm curious to know. Also, speaking... the Denmark has come up the ladder. It was like 18th and now it's 15th. They're just kicked Finland and Austria and Argentina's butt. Good, Denmark. Iceland is also climbing up, and Japan is climbing up. I mean, you guys are all just climbing the ladder. Go for it. Well, that's actually all the world news we have.
Thank you, everyone out there. We love that you are supporting us. We're very, very grateful.
We are. Love it so much. We love you guys.
Happy spooky season, everyone. I hope you guys enjoy your spooky treats. And be safe out there. If you go trick-or-treating with family or friends, please be safe. Make good choices. And
Abby's definitely the mom here.
Leave some Twix for me.
Until
leave
next
some Twix
week.
for me, please. Because my kids never do.
Until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. And this has been the Sisters. What? I thought you were going to do it. Jason.
Never.
And this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. We're so glad you joined us today, and we hope you join us next time. Bye.
Bye.